The air in the Fresno County landfill stank of rotting diapers and sun-baked plastic. Maria crouched behind a mountain of black bags, clutching little Diego to her chest. The boy's curls were matted with dust, his cheeks streaked with tears that had dried into salt tracks. She whispered the same promise she had repeated since the border. Ya casi, mijo, ya casi. Almost there. Footsteps crunched on the gravel path behind them. Maria pressed Diego's face into her shoulder so he wouldn't cry out. A man in a navy suit, too clean for this place, strode past, phone to his ear. His polished shoes kicked up tiny clouds that settled on Maria's torn nurse scrubs. She recognized the voice before the face. Smooth, impatient, East Coast. Tell the board the merger closes Friday or we walk, he snapped. Then he paused, sniffed, and muttered, Christ, what does that smell? Maria's heart hammered. She had seen him on the news. Ethan Caldwell, 34, youngest partner at Caldwell and Associates, the private equity firm that had just bought the hospital where she used to work. The same firm that shuttered the ER to cut costs. The same where her husband bled out last year after a construction accident because the ambulance took 43 minutes to arrive. Ethan ended the call and turned. His eyes locked on the child's sandal poking from behind the trash bags. He stepped closer. Maria tightened her grip on Diego, ready to bolt, but her legs cramped from 12 hours of hiding. Ethan crouched, suit pants straining. Hey, he said, voice softer now. You okay? Diego peeked out. His lower lip trembled. Maria stood slowly, brushing garbage off her knees. We're fine, she lied in English thick with Nahuatl vowels. Just looking for bottles. Ethan's gaze flicked to her scrubs. Faded blue. Name tag still pinned. Maria Gonzalez, RN. He knew that name. He had signed the memo recommending layoffs at Valley General. You worked at my hospital, he said, almost to himself. Your hospital. Maria's laugh cracked like dry earth. It was ours first. A siren wailed in the distance. Border Patrol, maybe, or just another ambulance too late. Ethan glanced over his shoulder. The merger party started in 4 hours at the vineyard estate his father built with hospital profits. Black tie, champagne, politicians who called him son. He should leave these people to the coyotes and the heat. Instead he asked, how old is he? 4. Maria's arms ached. He hasn't eaten since yesterday. Ethan reached into his jacket, pulled out a protein bar from the gym bag in his trunk. Diego took it with both hands, tearing the wrapper like Christmas. Maria watched her son devour almonds and chocolate while the man who destroyed her life stood 3 feet away. I can call someone, Ethan offered. Shelter. Social services. They'll separate us. Maria's voice was flat, final. I crossed with papers once. They expired when the hospital closed. No job. No visa. Ethan looked at the landfill stretching to the horizon, acres of America's waste, and here was more. He thought of his own daughter, Chloe, safe in Manhattan with her nanny, learning Mandarin on an iPad. Same age as Diego. Same curls. Different zip code. A pickup truck rumbled along the service road. 2 men in reflective vests, landfill workers, spotted them and slowed. One reached for a radio. Ethan made the decision before his brain caught up. Get in my car, he said. Now. Maria hesitated. Diego was already tugging her toward the gleaming black Audi parked beyond the gate, lured by the promise of air conditioning. She followed. The drive to Fresno took 20 minutes of silence broken only by Diego's sticky chewing sounds. Ethan kept both hands on the wheel, knuckles white. Maria watched the speedometer climb past 80. Where are you taking us? Somewhere they won't look. He didn't know where that was yet. They ended up at the old Caldwell guest house on the edge of his family's vineyard, boarded up since his mother died. Ethan pried the plywood off the back door while Maria carried Diego inside. The place smelled of mouse droppings and Merlot. Dust floated in shafts of light. "You can stay tonight," Ethan said. "I'll bring food, clothes. Tomorrow we figure out. Tomorrow they deport me." Maria set Diego on the counter, wiped his face with the hem of her shirt. "You think one night changes that?" Ethan opened the fridge, empty except for a bottle of 1996 Opus 1. He laughed without humor. "My father kept this for the day we sold the hospital chain. Guess the joke's on him." Diego pointed at the label. "Pretty." Maria's eyes filled. "He thinks everything shiny is a toy." Ethan poured 2 inches into a coffee mug, offered it to her. She drank. The wine tasted like money and regret. "I didn't know," he said. "About the closures. I crunched numbers. I never saw faces. You see them now." Maria's voice was quiet steel. Outside, tires crunched on gravel. Headlights swept the windows. Ethan froze. "Stay here." He stepped onto the porch. A black SUV idled. His sister Olivia leaned out, red gown glittering under the security light. "There you are. Dad's having a fit. The senator wants a photo with the prodigal son." She sniffed. "Why do you smell like garbage?" "Long story." Ethan blocked the doorway. "Go back to the party. I'll be there." Olivia's gaze slid past him to the cracked window where Maria's silhouette hovered. "Who's in there?" "No one." Ethan. Warning in her tone. "Board meetings tomorrow. You miss it. Dad cuts you out. Everything you worked for as already trash," he finished. The words surprised them both. Olivia stared a moment longer, then reversed down the drive, taillights disappearing into the vines. Inside, Maria had found canned peaches in a cupboard. Diego slurped syrup from the lid. Ethan watched them and felt something crack open in his chest. Small, painful, necessary. "I can get you to Sacramento," he said. "There's a clinic, underground network. They forge papers, find sponsors." Maria set the can down. "Why help us?" "Because I can." He paused. "And because if I don't, I become my father." Night settled purple over the vineyards. Ethan drove to the party, changed into a tux in the winery bathroom, smiled for cameras while his mind mapped routes north. At 2 a.m. he returned with duffel bags, kids' clothes from Target, a burner phone, $5,000 cash from the merger bonus he hadn't cashed yet. Maria counted the bills, eyes wide. "This is blood money. It's a start." He handed her the keys to a beat-up Honda he kept for vineyard runs. "Fake plates. Drive at dawn. Clinic contacts programmed. Tell them Caldwell sent you." Diego slept on the couch, thumb in mouth. Maria touched Ethan's sleeve. "What happens to you? I'll manage." He almost believed it. She wrote her sister's address in Tijuana on a napkin, pressed it into his hand. "If Diego ever asks who the man in the suit was, tell him an angel wore Brooks Brothers." Ethan laughed, the sound catching in his throat. At 4:17 a.m. the Honda rolled out, taillights winking once before vanishing. Ethan stood in the doorway until the engine noise faded into cricket song. Then he walked to the main house, poured his father's prized Opus 1 down the sink, and started drafting the email that would tank the merger and his inheritance in one stroke. By sunrise, Maria and Diego crossed the invisible line into a new kind of danger, hope. Behind them, the landfill kept rotting under California sun, but for the first time in months, Maria didn't smell it. She smelled possibility, faint as vineyard dust on a child's curls, strong enough to carry them north.